Hello everyone. Today we will look at division of exponential numbers with integer exponents. Remember, integer means negatives, positives, and zero. Now, let us perform an investigation that will let us find out the property that we will be using to perform the division of exponential numbers with integer exponents. In number 1, we have got 7 to the power of 5 divided by 7 to the power of 3. This means 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. That is 7 to the power of 5. Divided by 7 to the power of 3, which means 7 times 7 times 7. Okay? Now, this will be 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 out of 7 times 7 times 7. And this will give us 7 times 7. This means that we divide this 7 by this 7 to get 1. This 7 by this 7 to get 1, this 7 by this 7 to get 1. So we remain with 7 times 7, which means 7 squared. But now, look at this in this way, whereby we get 7 to the power of 5 divided by 7 to the power of 3, and we simply subtract the exponents, that is 5 minus 3. We remain with 7 squared, which is the same as this. See that? Let's get to number 2. We have got negative 3 to the power of 4 divided by negative 3 to the power of negative 2. Now, negative 3 to the power of 4 means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 divided by negative 3 to the power of negative 2 means 1 out of negative 3 times negative 3. Okay? Now this means that we get negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times the reciprocal 1 down and negative 3 times negative 3 up. Okay? Now this gives us negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, and then times negative 3 times negative 3, and this gives us negative 3 to the power of 6. But now let us look at it in this format. We get 4 minus negative 2. Okay? So we get negative 3 to the power of 4 minus negative 2. And that will be 4 plus 2, which is negative 3 to the power of 6. Now you can see that this one and this one, they are the same. Okay? We look at part 3. 0.4 to the power of negative 2 divided by 0.4 to the power of 0. Now, this is 1 out of 0.4 times 0.4. Okay? Divided by 0.4 to the power of 0, that actually means 1. So we get 1 out of 0.4 times 0.4, and this is 1 out of 0.4 squared, which actually means 0.4 to the power of negative 2. Let's look at it in this way, whereby we will simply subtract the exponents. That will be 0.4 to the power of negative 2 minus 0. And that will give us 0.4 to the power of negative 2. And you can see that this one and this one, they are the same. Let us perform the final investigation. Let A be any number other than 0. So then, A to the power of negative 3 divided by A to the power of negative 6. So we write this as a fraction. That will be 1 out of A times A times A divided by this one as a fraction, 1 out of A times A times A times A times A times A. Now we get 1 out of A times A times A times, now we get the reciprocal of this one. So it will be A times A times A times A times A times A out of 1. And now this A and this A, we cancel them. We cancel this one and this one. Then this one and this one. We remain with A times A times A. That will give us A to the power of 3. Now let's look at it in this format, whereby we will subtract the powers. So we get A to the power of negative 3 minus negative 6. And this will give us A to the power of negative 3 plus 6. Then we get A to the power of 3, which is the same as this one. Okay? Now, from our investigation, we come up with property number 2 of exponents. Let A be any number other than 0, where m and n are integers. Then A to the power of m divided by A to the power of n equals A to the power of m minus n. Now let's get some examples. Part 1. Negative 2 to the power of 17 divided by negative 2 to power of 9. Then number 2, 7 to the power of negative 5 divided by negative 7 to the power of negative 12. In part 3, we get 6 to the power, 6a to the power of 4, b to the power of negative 5 divided by 2a to the power of negative 5, b to the power of 3. Okay, now let's get solution. Part 1. Negative 2 to the power of 17 divided by negative 2 to the power of 9. So we simply keep the base and subtract the exponents. That will give us negative 2 to the power of 8. Part 2. The same. We will keep the base and subtract the exponents. So that will be 7 to the power of negative 5 minus 12. Okay, so minus 12 just gives us plus 12. So we get 7 to the power of negative 5 plus 12. That will give us 7 to the power of 7. Okay, we get the final example. 6a to the power of 4 b to the power of negative 5 divided by 2a to the power of negative 5 b to the power of 3. Now let us do it in this way. Let's get 6 divided by 2. Then we get a to the power of 4 divided by a to the power of negative 5. Then we get b to the power of negative 5 divided by b to the power of 3. Okay? Now, we know that 6 divided by 2, it is 3. Then we get a to the power of 4 minus 5. Okay? Then we get b to the power of negative 5 minus 3. Okay? Such that we get 3. Now if we get 4 minus 5, it gives us 9. So that we get a to the power of 9. Okay? Then b to the power of minus 5 minus 3 gives us b to the power of minus 8. Okay? Now, we get 3a to the power of 9. Remember, we can write b to the power of negative 8 as a fraction. So we will get 1 out of b to the power of 8. Now, we can actually form a fraction by making 3a to the power of 9 out of 1, such that we get 3a to the power of 9 times 1 out of 1 times b to the power of 8. And this gives us 3a to the power of 9 out of b to the power of 8. And that will be our final answer. I believe that you have really understood. Now, I want you to pause the video and do these 3 questions as practice.